So we need to replace the Internal Revenue Code and all the implementing regulations. By the way, those are thousands of pages long. I don't think anybody's ever read all of them. If they did, they would die. I don't encourage any of you to do it without adult supervision and safety goggles and shoulder pads and a helmet. It would be a miserable experience. We need to replace it with something far simpler, either a national sales tax or a national flat income tax. I slightly prefer the sales tax, or the so-called fair tax as it's sometimes called, because it's easier to enforce, it's harder to cheat, and it encourages savings. Either one of those would be far superior to what we have now. We've got to fix it. So we restore the constitutional debate. We end the era of deficit spending. We reform the tax system. Fourth and finally, and then I'll open the floor to questions after this, we need to end the era of the career politician. Let me explain what I mean by that. How many of you are delegates, by the way? Good heavens, that's great. I raised my hand because I'm a delegate too. And I want to, in case you haven't heard this argument, because sometimes I don't know whether I hear this argument more because I'm a candidate or because I'm a delegate, or maybe it's both. But an argument that I think you will be hearing more and more over the last 4 or 5 weeks goes something like this. As a delegate, or more broadly, as citizens in a free republic, you have the right to vote for whomever you want. You're free to vote for the candidate of your choice. But should you have the audacity to vote for someone other than the 3-term incumbent, you will lose money, power, and influence in Washington. Exercising that right to vote comes at a significant cost. There is a heavy price to be paid for Republican democracy. There is a heavy price to be paid for actually exercising your right as a citizen in a free republic. That argument is made possible by a little thing called the seniority system in Washington. A system that I don't understand why it makes sense to distribute power this way, but apparently they say power in the halls of Congress should be allocated, not according to who has the best ideas, the ideas that are most likely to redound to the benefit of the American people, but according to how long you've been there. That enables people to come back from Washington and make this very bold statement. If you choose to vote for someone other than me, the incumbent, you will lose money, power, and influence, so don't even think about it. Let's analogize it to another right that you have as citizens in a free republic. The right to free speech, the right to criticize your government without fear of retribution by the government. If we attached a price tag to that right, if we said you can criticize the government, but only if you will pay a $1,000 fee or fine, we would acknowledge that immediately as tyranny. Because when you attach a high price to a right, it cheapens the right. It devalues it. It almost eliminates it as a right. And somehow we've allowed Congress to cheapen and undermine and devalue our right to vote by telling us, you may vote, but don't you dare vote for anyone other than the incumbent. I wish it were not necessary. But it is necessary to end the seniority system. The only way I know of to pull the seniority system up out of the ground by its roots and make sure that it does not survive is through constitutional term limits. Limiting senators to no more than 2 terms, 12 years, ought to be enough. If we'll do those 4 things, we restore the constitutional debate, we end deficit spending, reform the tax code, and end the era of career politicians, we can and we will and we must restore the greatness of our country and restore the primacy of the U.S. Constitution. But we do need to act, and we've got to act fast, because we're moving in a direction in which Congress is adjusting that thermostat, but the thermostat's backwards, and the things they're trying to do that are supposed to make things better according to them are just making them a lot worse. I invite you to join me in this cause, this noble cause to reclaim our country's future, and I ask for your vote this morning. So, thank you.